What a lot of people don't realize when it comes to divorce is that they actually have a lot of options, and their options are typically only limited by their own creativity or their inability to cooperate before they file. So let's look at the different options. The thing that everybody's most familiar with is litigated divorce. And that's what you see on TV all the time and in the news. This is one party just files for divorce, the other party responds, and they go through the litigation process. Unfortunately, that's probably the worst way to get divorced. It takes the longest, it's the most adversarial, it costs the most, and it's very unpredictable. But that may be your reality. A better option is mediated divorce. And what a mediated divorce is the parties come in, they hire a single attorney, not as their attorney, but as a mediator. And the process looks a little like this. They come in, they do a joint consultation, there's information gathering that's done by the attorney, and then they start to sit down in mediation sessions and work through their issues with the guidance of that attorney. The agreement that they reach is ultimately turned into a court order, and it's enforceable by the parties. Why is it so great? It's the fastest, least expensive, least adversarial way to do it. And you come up with your solution, not the court, not some stranger who doesn't know anything about your family. Another option is what I call uncontested divorce. This is a case where you know that you're going to get divorced and you agree on most things. There are a few things you don't agree on, there are a few things you might have questions on, and a few things you might need help on. The way we handle that is one of the parties comes in for a consultation, they hire us, often that's on a flat fee, and then we begin to prepare an agreement according to the client's instructions that's presented to the other side, and we go back and forth a little bit to get that case settled. That's also a very quick and inexpensive process. The last process, and probably the most, I'd say progressive process, is something called collaborative divorce. Now, the way that the collaborative divorce, the easiest way to think about this is you build a container around the divorce process, and everything that happens is by agreement by the parties. So you may file a petition to open the case, but everything else occurs inside of this container. So you agree on how you're going to do discovery. You agree on how you're going to handle custody, who's going to be helpful to the parties. Will you have someone advising about child custody and things like that? That is not as efficient and inexpensive as mediation, but it is a great alternative to litigated divorce. So before you even come in for your consultation, be aware of those, because you actually do have a lot of options when it comes to the divorce process.